Back here in Fort Wayne at the Allen County War Memorial, we're at 184 pounds in our Division II final. We'll meet the top-ranked wrestler in the nation. This is returning national champion Garrett Lineberger for Notre Dame College. His opponent, Nick Burghardt from Maryville, ranked number 3 in the nation. Returning All-American. Lineberger, a sophomore, won the national championship last year. Hughesville, Maryland native out of Thomas Stone High School. Burghardt, who actually beat Lineberger in February of last year, 7-3, was 4th in 2014. Hailing from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Coronado High School. It's about 5 minutes away from the Olympic Training Center. Burghardt, part of that monster state championship team that the Cougars of Coronado High School had several years ago. A couple of his teammates now wrestling in Division I, like Nathan Burak. And same high school where Henry Cejudo, a 2008 Olympic champion, attended for 2 years. And Burghardt, who was much like Haggerty, had committed to Nebraska Omaha and then followed Coach Denny once they axed the program down there to Maryville. Lineberger kind of came on the scene last year. It's kind of a relative unknown until being thrust in the lineup in the second semester. 25-5 last season. Got a fall in the finals of the Division II championships in Public Hall in Cleveland, where Notre Dame College had a very large contingent of fans, just a couple miles away from the Notre Dame campus, which is in technically South Euclid, Ohio. But if you're not from Ohio, everybody just says Cleveland. It's kind of like where I'm from in the Greater Hampton Roads area. Just say Virginia Beach, everybody kind of gets what you're talking about. No score here. 2 minutes into the bout. Number 1 and number 3. It's our final match between ranked opponents. We've got 197 in heavyweight. Next, we'll see one more ranked wrestler, and that'll be at heavyweight. We've had some great matches here. Maryville jumped out to a 3-0 lead, but since then Notre Dame has been tied several times, but has maintained the lead after those 2 wins at 133 and 141. Maryville would tie it, Notre Dame would go ahead, Maryville would tie it, Notre Dame would go ahead. Now Notre Dame up 12-9. So we're going to come down to the wire, it seems. I mean, we've had decisions all the way through, no bonus points. We keep it up, we might have to break out the calculators and try to figure out the criteria. And criteria used to break dual meet ties. It's technically not a tie. If a dual meet ends, say 15-15, they'll look at the total number of matches won. If that's even, they'll go to the next criteria, which is total number of 6-point victories, which includes pins, forfeits, injury defaults, and disqualifications. If that's tied, they'll go to total match points in bouts not ending in a fall. And if that's tied, it'll go all the way down to the first takedown of the match. So while we're not in a criteria situation yet, if we go decision all the way through, we will be. We'll explain that as it comes to it. We start that second period with Lineberger on bottom. And Burghardt's going to kick him out. Could also mention Carter McElhaney at Air Force as a Coronado alum, wrestling Division I. So 1-0 lead. Lineberger, riding time, nothing to speak of. And in on a shot is Burghardt, trying to come up and finish. Lineberger whizzing in on the edge. Burghardt's going to try to limp arm out here, but that whizzer is tight. And Lineberger's going to mule kick away out of bounds. Get a fresh start, 30 seconds remaining in period number 2. You're watching the 2015 Multi Divisional National Duals on Fox College Sports. Jason Bryan here with you. This exciting duel between two new kids on the block, and we're not talking about the Wahlbergs or Jordan Knight or whatever those guys' names were back in the 80s. Notre Dame College started wrestling in 2007. Maryville University started wrestling, announced it that they were starting a wrestling program in 2011. Quickly risen to the top of Division II. Notre Dame, the returning Division II national champions and the returning champions of this event. Burghardt rolling, and Lineberger maintaining control. And there's going to be cheating. The whistle, that's to be a caution on Lineberger. And 3 of those is a point. 3 cautions will be a point. Some officials a little more judicious in awarding them than others. And now we have a discussion from the coaching staff at the table, or the table trying to reset the riding time. That's what it looks like. It looks like some time went off the clock. And reset it. Burghardt's like, hey man, come on, let's go. Now that's all figured out. Yep, they readjusted the clock, 1:50, and the riding time is adjusted in favor of Burghardt for 11 seconds. Lineberger going to go with that locker on the top, maintain control, and we'll roll right through out of bounds again. Another fresh start. So just the escape in the second period is all the scoring we've had. Lineberger drops to the ankle, works up with the tight waist. You have to move off of that ankle soon. He's going to get hit for stalling. And he does. Go forward roll through. Lineberger going to look for a tilt. Notre Dame wanted to count. I don't think it was fast enough. Lineberger drops back to the ankles. Burghardt crawling toward the edge. And we'll get a fresh start. 1:20 to go. I don't think Lineberger was stalling there. I mean, he's got to maintain the control of the guy somehow. If you drop down there and stay there, yeah, they're going to hit you for stalling. And there's a second caution on Lineberger. Clean start, switching off. Tight waist in the claw ride. Lineberger's going to take Burghardt down to his back, and he's going to get a count. And 2 near fall. Looks like it was just a 4 count, so 3-0 the lead for Lineberger. So he took Burghardt over on the return. Held him there with that claw ride for 4 seconds. One more swipe would have been 5 seconds. That would have been 3 near fall, but just the 2 count, or the 2 near fall awarded. Under a minute to go. Riding time now approaching a minute. It's at 45 seconds in favor of Lineberger. Now you see the coaches from Maryville with that visible count thinking that Lineberger was hanging on the leg. Of course, with that stall rule, you've got to have a visible and verbal count. 40 seconds remain. And riding time now up over a minute. Lineberger with a 3-0 lead. Trips Burghardt back down to the mat, much to the approval of the Notre Dame College bench. Look at that claw ride again in that tight waist. Hanging on the chin, coming up on short time. 10 seconds remaining. Burghardt's got to do something quick, but he's done nothing on the bottom here to get away from the leech-like Garrett Lineberger. 2 and 1, and that'll do it. So add a point for riding time. 4-0 victory for number 1, Garrett Lineberger, over number 3, Nick Burghardt. That will give Notre Dame a 15-9 lead as we head into the final 2 weights.